Hi, I'm Keith Allen, and I play Murphy on Z Nation, and I listen to One Up Gaming Podcast.
Hi, I'm Lucy James, and I listen to the One Up Gaming Podcast.
Well, hello, and welcome to episode 212 of the One Up Gaming Podcast. It's me, David. This is going to be a very, very, very quick introduction, because this week the Sociable Soccer will be released into early access on Steam. So I believe at the time of recording it's got another 2 or 3 days to wait. But I just thought for this episode we will have both Gustav and Jon featured on this episode from a couple of months ago when we had them on to talk about the Sociable Soccer and how things were going. So that is basically it for me. I will end this now, say thank you all, hope you enjoy it. Leave positive feedback, thumbs up, things like that, and hopefully subscribe to us, and moving on forward we'll get better and better. Thank you. Hope you enjoy. So, we are here, it's One Up Gaming, it's me, David, and I've got a nice guest. So if you just want to introduce yourself and just say who are you and what do you do, please?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Gustav. I'm the community manager of Sociable Soccer. New game coming out next year. Quarter one. I don't want to say too much, so I'll say quarter one. But I've been working with Pro Evolution Soccer before and building communities for that game, so I have some experience in the business since before. But it's great to be on. Thanks for inviting me.
It's not a problem. We've had Jon on several times, and we normally have a section that's like 20 minutes, 40 minutes long, but whenever Jon's on, it's about 2 hours long.
But we have Jon with us here, so... Just look, he's here, screaming out. Yeah.
I don't know if you've encountered that. He does like to talk.
Yeah, he can go on for hours.
Yeah. But I will say, for a podcast and for an interview, that is perfect. I've had people on before where you say, "Oh, tell us about the game," and they literally give a one-word answer.
Okay.
And it's like, that's not helping.
No. John can go on. John can go, like, he can... Well, he sends us these long, files, like... And then everything is there's a description of everything. So I guess when he goes on an interview, he just talks about these long stuff that he's written down, you know? So, so we as a gameplay designer or a game designer, you have to do that because you want to be as detailed as possible. So I guess John is very detailed when he does his gameplay descriptions and everything when he talks to our programmers and everything, how exactly he wants it, and that's very important when you're making a game.
Yeah. So you say you've been with the Pro Evolution Soccer sort of community side of things. Yeah. How long ago was that?
I started, doing these unofficial updates for the Swedish league and stuff like that back in I think it's 2005 probably, so it's a long time ago. But then they also needed somebody in the Nordic area to work with PES, So there was an office in Stockholm back then, and I went up there to present what I had done, and they used my files, the updated files that I did in the Swedish league, in derbies, between two Swedish teams, and so that's how I got in there, and then I got a job with them, working with the communities in the Nordic area, and now I'm here. But this job, I quit that job in 2011, so I've been doing other stuff since then, and then suddenly I got the call from John. So he asked me if I wanted to be on their team. So it's a great opportunity. It's nice. It's one of the few games. One of my childhood games is Sensible Soccer. So it was quite easy to say yes, but at the same time I was a little bit hesitant because I didn't know if I flew over to Helsinki where the office is, and I had a talk with them about how they were going to put this together because it was important to me, so that you saw that there was a long plan for it. So but I came on after that. It was great. It's great. Yeah.
So when you started, was the Kickstarter still going, sort of thing?
No, I came in. I was, I supported the Kickstarter as a fan.
So did I.
And then, so did you. And then when it came to an end in November, I thought to myself, one of my favorite football games is not coming back. So I was like, and I read at the same time that we're continuing this in we're going with this in the old-fashioned way, and I thought, okay, and I didn't think much of it, and just when I quit Konami, actually, I sent a mail to John saying that if you are going to start something in the future, please contact me because I'm ready to do something with you if there's something with a new football game or whatever. And so, I was sitting there in February, it was snowing in Sweden like hell, and I was looking out the window, and just suddenly, whip, there was like a mail in my email, and I saw it from Jon Hare, and then, I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity. He linked me to one of his colleagues in Finland, and I was just I was doing a little bit Skype interview with him. The Finnish guy, and then he said, well, you should come over, and I went over. It was just, what else can you do? You're surprised in your daily job, and then you're it's amazing opportunity. Come back into the business.
So are you working on this full time with Jon?
No, I'm not actually working full time on this. I have another job also, so I'm doing two jobs at the same time. We'll see about how that develops in the future, but I'm doing this part time now because I would say that I'm not as needed now as I will be when the game is released. When the game is released, I will put in a lot more time. Right now it's mostly about developing the game, and I'm not involved in that process. I'm there to do everything that has to do with social media right now. But then I will do also like all the community support and stuff like that. We'll probably bring in other people too, because we will need support in another kind of way when the game is released for the masses. So yeah.
Yeah, because I know I basically did your kind of job. There was a small team in Liverpool making their first iOS game.
Yeah.
And I came on board about 3 months before the game was finished.
Okay.
And for the first month or so, I was just giving them ideas of how to get the game's name out. And then a month before the game was out, I was emailing all the press sites saying, would you like code? Would you be interested in reviewing this? Would you like to do features on this? Yeah. And then basically, as soon as the game was out, that was my job finished.
Okay.
I was just there to try to build up the excitement for the game until it was released.
Yeah. But a football game is a little bit. It's more than just the build-up. It's just going to continue after that, because eventually you want to have this game coming out as a sequel. You want to have sequels. Football games is more than one game, more than often. So, I will, and my ambition would be to stay with the team, so just not quit when the game comes out. But I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be part of this, and I can mix it with my old job, and my current job and this job now. It's a perfect mix, and I get to travel a lot. When Jon is not there, I'm the one that does the travels to the different places we go, and I love hanging out with the people in the industry, all the nerds. I love that. It's superb.
Yeah, I sort of met you in person in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But, I tell you, we were talking a little bit before we came on, and we talked a little bit about Dino Dini's Kickoff Revival game.
Yeah.
And, as you are a fan of, Sensible Soccer.
Yeah.
on the back of my wall, I've got, a Sensi sort of poster and some signed sort of Jon Hare stuff behind me.
Yeah.
And, I'm a massive, Sensible Software fan. And I also loved just about every football game from the early 90s. Even the ones that weren't very good on the SNES and Mega Drive, I still put hours and hours into them.
Yeah.
But the old Kickoff game I used to love so much.
Yeah.
And we got sent review code for Kickoff Revival, and I actually gave my code to someone else, because I'd already pre-ordered and bought the game. That I wanted the game, and I was like, I don't want to review it because I want, it's I don't want to have my feelings sort of mixed in.
You're a little bit biased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'd have played that game before I played the little demo slice of the Sociable Soccer, I would have been so much more in favour of positiveness for Sociable Soccer. Because when I played it said 50% build on the demo stations, and I was a little bit, it seems a little slow, it seems a bit, there was bits and bobs that needed a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
But going back to this game that's a full retail release, I just could not believe that anyone could release a game in that state where it's got so many bugs. Like, you can actually shoot, the goalkeeper catches it but falls into the goal, gets up, and it doesn't count as a goal, even though the ball clearly went over the line.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this, and I'm not before we started. Yeah, just like you said, but yeah, and we don't want to go into some kind of battle with kickoff. That battle has been, it was going on in the 90s, and I don't want to get involved with that kind of stuff. It's just we're going to show that we are making a good game, and that's what we're going to do. And we're not going to focus on what somebody else do. So, we're focused on making this a great game as it is released, and we're not looking at any other football game. This is our game. We're releasing that, and you get to play that. And we're not looking at other games. We're looking at our own. That's like the only thing I have to say about that.
Yeah, don't worry.
I enjoyed Kickoff a little bit when in the 90s. I never played it like on a daily basis. I went to some friend's place and I played it there. And since I had played Sensible Soccer back then, I never got like into how you control the ball and stuff like that in that game. But it doesn't matter. Sensible Soccer is one game, Kickoff is one game. And now we're both back in a kind of different way. And let's see who does best.
Yeah. I don't want to get into a sort of like a hate war, because the amount of hurtful emails I received after our review went up, it's crazy, But I guess it's like the No Man's Sky, when they sort of announced that they were delaying it for about a month. They got like death threats.
Yeah.
It's like, how is that even? How does the human brain even comprehend to sort of do something like that?
Yeah, that's just like we're gonna delay the game for your pleasure. So let's we'll wait another month, and then just the mail come in like we're gonna kill you because we want so badly to go out in space and find different planets, so we're just gonna send you a death threat. But I mean people are crazy these days. I'm glad that this virtual reality is coming so that people can just enjoy virtual reality when they're just building up hate within themselves. So they can just go out and just scream at people in the street in virtual reality instead. Probably that's a better solution, right?
It probably is, yeah. But
and then the people can actually in the virtual reality can react with all these sentiments that you react with when you get the hate mail. They can cry, they can call the police in virtual reality, and then you get this kind of maybe people that hate get this kind of feeling of what it is to be hated. It's gone to proportions where it's just really sad that people they don't think before they talk. So, yeah.
I have that problem, but
we all have that problem. Me too, especially when I'm speaking English, which is not my natural tongue. So
I can imagine that's quite hard because I can barely speak English, let alone any other language. So. But anyway, as you were talking about virtual reality. Yeah. When I was at the Glasgow event, it wasn't announced, but I was talking with, I think it was Chris, who was like the organizer of the event, and we were talking, and he was like, "Oh yeah, they're doing virtual reality on Sociable Soccer." It's like, really? So
yeah, I kind of let slip like a little, like a little, what's it called, like a little lead.
Yeah.
To that because. It was we had that mode in development then, and and I got in touch with Andy, who arranges the event, and he said, like, we have virtual reality here, and I said, we might have a virtual reality version. And then I talked to one of our developers, and he said, like, yeah, we have it, but eventually couldn't get it ready, so that's why we couldn't show it there, or it would have been a major surprise already back then. But now we have it announced, and we've been thinking a lot of how we're supposed to present it and make it really special. A lot of people have said, like, some people sent in some mails to me, and they asked, like, how much out of the other development time this mode is going to take up, because they were worried about the development of the product that most people would buy, and not the VR mode, how much time that would take up. And the VR mode didn't take up much time, actually, because it was like one of our programmers was just sitting at home, and he was like thinking, maybe if I do it this way, then maybe it will work in VR. And he just came up with this brilliant VR mode, which was easy to implement in what we already had. So it was a quick VR mode that became something that people are really liking right now. For example, and we're having the game shown at the Science Museum in London.
Yeah.
And you can go there and try it out, actually, up until the 7th of August. And you can see how the virtual reality in our game will work. And actually, there's a link on our Facebook page where you can see a small snippet of, like, a BBC news story that shows our game, actually, in the virtual reality. So you can go there and check that out. But I mean, we have a name for our virtual reality mode. It's not totally official yet, but it's there on our Facebook and our news and everything. It's play like a god mode. So we've been thinking a little bit, how can you do a special thing with VR in a football game? And that would probably be that you could, like, sit and see the game from wherever you are, wherever you'd like, and walk around maybe the pitch and sit, like, in different places, or just find your spot, that kind of thing. And it works with Sociable Soccer, because people love the top view, and like that you can just, like, stand up and look down and get this zoom feature kind of thing where you actually want it, and that's kind of neat, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how they would go about implementing that sort of mode, but to me, it seems as though what you would do is just have a fixed camera right at the top above the center circle, that when you actually use the motion sensor to look up and down, it just moves the camera sort of like as if, up and down. So to me, it doesn't sound as though it'd be that hard to implement. If you were going in where you were controlling a player and you had a virtual head, that would be so much more difficult to do.
Yeah, we didn't think in those terms, actually. We thought more in the classical kind of sensible world of soccer and the sociable soccer top-down view, that you have to have this overview of the arena, of the pitch, So that's what we did, and that's what we're sticking to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, the one thing I will say, the worst part of the game that I played, that I thought, was the side-on view.
Yeah.
And to me, in any game, what you need at the very least is set cameras like overhead, quarter angle, side-on, and then you also need like close, medium, far sort of distance, and then maybe the height, low, medium, high. So you can actually change the perspective to how you... Because I remember when I used to play PES, and then one year they changed the camera to be a little bit lower.
Yeah.
And that messed up my entire game for months until I got used to the slightly lower angle. It was only, like degrees, like 3 or 4 degrees lower. But because of that, it messed up your perspective for the, like, crossing the ball to the other side of the pitch.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just think you need to be able to have, like at least 4 or 5 different options to like lower and zoom in or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know if that's happening?
Yeah, we're not there yet with those options. I mean, we put in this side view because we thought that another crowd than the classic crowd would like to have this kind of view. But now, and we have the replays in this side view, and we will have the classic replay from the top view too. But I mean, we thought that maybe a younger generation would like to have this side view, and of course we have to do some tweaks to this side view and make it feel like maybe tweak the camera like you said, but I mean also when you look at the game from the side view, you think that at least I do think that I want to see a lot more detail than I do in the top down view, because in the top down view you have this it's the classic kind of sensible World of Soccer style of view, but since you're looking at it this way, you don't see all the details that are happening. And when you go on side view, you want even more detail. And we're not really there yet with animations and stuff like that. And probably, but now you started talking about the camera, and of course the camera is not a hard thing to change for us. Definitely not. And we're going to look into how people like this camera view, but there's still many more months until release, and I don't think it's a big problem. The big problem is getting used to playing the game in that side view. Then, of course, it's hard to play the game in this kind of way. I mean, maybe we should talk about this a little bit later, but the controls that we use nowadays is so the analog control that we use in the game, it's different from when you played Sensible Soccer back in the day. It's more sensible to touch, and you can slow down play actually in Sociable Soccer that you couldn't do in Sensible World of Soccer or Sensible Soccer, and you could actually play a slower game if you like, even in the top-down view, if you want to do that. It's, of course, both views are equal in kind of control schemes and everything. So, but now people are playing the game mostly in the top-down view because it just feels so much better to play it in that view right now. And we'll be looking at making the game as good in this side view, but it will take a little bit more time, and we will do some tweaks, and we'll do changes to it probably, and there's a lot more to come to the game than what you've seen, and where we are, and what we're doing some new stuff for Gamescom, so we'll announce that, and then we'll see where this side view goes. We have to have it in there because of the new generation and stuff like that, but we'll get there eventually, I'm sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, when I saw the game, it wasn't fully announced that it was also for, like, iOS and Android, but now it's been fully announced for those platforms.
Yeah. And I actually, on my cellular phone here,
you've got it
I have Android version. I have the Android version here. I will do a small... we'll show it a little bit here, I guess. Wait a second. Here we go. Kind of, let's see here. If we can see, this is world exclusive stuff. Oh, let's see. just a minute here, because there was a new upgrade to it. So I just have to upgrade it, and then we can talk a little bit more about it in just a little while. Okay?
Yeah. So, I mean, while that's doing that, I just wondered, with a lot of like iPhone and Android games, they have to be, or what people assume, they have to be about the $10 mark maximum per price. Yeah. Otherwise, people have the perceived expectation that if it's anything more than that, then they're getting ripped off. You know, even though I remember the PlayStation Portable. I used to buy Football Manager on the PlayStation Portable. Yeah. And that was £30. And £30. The exact same game came to the iOS called Football Manager Mobile or Football Manager Pocket. I can't remember. It was something like that. And it was like $6.99. Okay.
Yeah, then you felt ripped off then, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
I know what you mean. I mean, we when we were in Glasgow, when we were in Blackpool, and when we were in Poland, when we were in Sweden, we did this. We did surveys about what people like and how much they were prepared to pay for this game that they just played. And only people that played the game took this survey.
I took the survey.
Yeah, you did the survey too. So anyhow, about that, people were prepared to pay about 10 to 20 euros for the game. Euros, I don't know how much that becomes in pounds, but
it'd be between £8 to about £15, give or take.
Yeah, okay. So, and also when you look at the mobile games, we'll do a free-to-play version. I mean, and then we'll have different solutions, and for this free-to-play version, we haven't decided how to build that up quite yet, but it will be a kind of you get to play a few games, and then you have to wait another day or something like that, or you pay a small sum to unlock that game in the range of what we just talked about, not over 10, I believe, nothing above 10, to unlock the full game. So you get to try the game out and everything and see if you like it. And it's a classic kind of way to promote a game. I just hope that, this game is being developed on Unity, so it will be the same version probably on all the different platforms, with a little tweak here and there for different platforms anyhow. But basically the game is made as it's made now for all kind of platforms when we develop it. So not big changes between the different ones.
And will it also support like Bluetooth controllers?
Yeah.
For mobile.
Use this kind of solution. So if you have controllers, play it with controllers instead of the touch screen is really good. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, no, but I mean, we used the iPad to wire it up to a big TV and play it on that, and it worked perfectly with the Bluetooth controllers. And I mean, that's maybe a little bit of the future of gaming comes from these. Maybe you have a kind of I know that Nvidia is having their own like kind of game station, and I don't know what was it called again. I don't know what it's called. I
know the Nintendo doing the NX. It's rumored to be using the NX. Is it the Tegra 1X sort of chip?
Something in that, yeah. And we're in. I mean, when you're developing a game, you're gonna listen around a little to hear which parties are interested, and Yeah, there are many big ones that are interested, I'd say.
Yeah.
But with these controllers that we talked about, it's maybe when you're using your iPad and everything, you want to connect it to the TV and play instantly. You don't want to have a PlayStation 4 maybe, or you don't want to have an Xbox One and those kind of things. And you want to be able, and with our game, you'll be able to play the same game as you'll be buying on this on a console machine and play it on your iPad instead. So it's good. Like it's not going to be any big changes between the different formats. Yes.
I mean, like, could you say yes, no, maybe to like cross-platform saves? So if I buy it on my iPhone and have it on the PlayStation, I could like keep the save of the same game running between both, so I can play it mobile and come home and carry the save going.
I'd love to answer that question and say yes, but I just from knowledge between how things work on different platforms, I just can't say yes because it's different save formats, everything. I mean, if we were allowed to just do it like this, it would go smoothly because of the Unity engine and everything like that. But because of the different platforms, I just can't say. It's impossible for me to say. But if all platforms just used Unity in a smooth way, then we could just put it there. You know, like if it was just if we had if it was open for us to do what we wanted, we just put it there. Yeah. But since there are some differences between the platforms, I just can't say. It's just it would just be optimal to say. It would be optimal, to have it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think using the same engine makes it possible, but it depends on the loopholes of each individual, Sony, Microsoft, if they would allow that feature to work.
Exactly.
Because at the moment, I know the guys doing the Rocket League, they've said they've got cross-play between the PS4 and the Xbox One working. Microsoft have said yes, that's fine, and it's Sony who are holding everything up. So
it'd be great if you could just play a game with somebody within between two platforms. I mean, that would be the optimal thing for a gamer to be able to meet any of your friends with any kind of platform that you have. It would be optimal. It would be great. And I remember when it was amazing back in the days, back in 2005, 2006. You had PlayStation, and you could play against PC players on Pro Evolution Soccer back then. It was fantastic thing because I think nobody had done that before them. And it was kind of a thing, and on a big community that we had here in Sweden, we played leagues with both PC and PS2 players. It was fantastic because you could involve so many more people than we were used to, because we had to divide the different platforms. But in these two games that came out, PS5 and PS6, you didn't have to. And of course, I hope that we are going back towards compatibility between all the formats. It would be just super. I think it would be super for everyone involved in making games, and also, of course, major thing for the fans and people that are into making big communities with games. Super thing. I hope it comes back.
Yeah, I mean, it would make everything a lot better, because then you wouldn't have people with the console wars. Because why would you have to bitch on about this, that, the other, when everyone can just play together?
Yeah. I mean, I really hope that, especially in sports games, you want to be able to face anybody of your friends, and and people have different kind of products at home, and I want to play my friend who maybe only have the iPad. Maybe I want to play him and I can't because he's not invested in one of the game consoles because he doesn't play anything else than maybe just this football game. And so it would be optimal if I could like play against him also. And I mean, why shouldn't it be done? I mean, it's for the pleasure of everybody.
Yeah, I
mean,
totally agree. Yeah.
But I can't say how much Sony thinks that it will be like taking a market from them and everything like that. You know, these kind of things also comes into consideration, like how Android games would. I mean, how it would be better for you to buy buy the Android game if that was cheaper. You know, like these kind of. Well, there's a lot of things to take into consideration there, and I would love for it to be like that you should be able to play with everybody. But well, yeah, that's about it. That's about it for me about that.
No, it does. It makes total sense. We just hope that 20 years, 30 years of the suits at the big companies see sense, and it's better for everyone to play together. Yeah.
I mean, that's the main thing about gaming. They should be able to do it with everybody, isn't it? So
yeah, it's an inclusive sort of hobby.
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't just be you bought this one platform. You have to stick to that.
Yeah. It's just like our name, Sociable.
So, getting back to Sociable, when we had Jon on, God, must have been about 6-7 months ago now, and it'd have been November when was that when the Kickstarter sort of came about?
Yeah, wasn't it early November when the Kickstarter came, and then it was like. It ended in the end of November or something like that, right?
Yeah, so we'd have talked to Jon maybe about the 10th of November, that sort of time.
Okay.
And he was saying about the so-called, like, what you would do in the main game where you create yourself as an avatar and you join your team. And then you play like online matches to get ranked up to eventually, hopefully, be able to play in like the England squad or the French squad or whatever nationality you chose as yourself.
Right.
I mean,
that describes the game pretty well.
How is that coming along?
That's kind of the main mode in this game, I'd say. Like, if you're most people are into making themselves and make themselves play in their national team and their favorite club team. So, I mean, this is the mode that we're working on most right now, because besides the gameplay, I'd say, because this mode is it's kind of huge with all the different teams. We'll have like classic players in this mode. So you'll be able to unlock them and put them in your favorite team. I mean, so if you play let's say you're playing with, I don't know, what's your favorite team?
Newcastle.
Okay. So I mean, you're playing with Newcastle, and Newcastle is you win a game, you win several games. You'll be able to unlock Alan Shearer, for example, and have him in your team, and then, if you do really well, yourself is sitting there on the bench, and you can put yourself on, and like this, and play with the great players. Build up your team, and that's the kind of thing that this mode is about. That you should be able to play games, make money through kind of a betting thing that you have. And then you build up, and then you get this money, and you can buy stuff with the money to improve your squad. There will be a manager. He'll be angry at you if you lose. He'll be happy if you win, and he'll tell you encouraging things and not so encouraging things that I saw today. But I mean, that mode is about playing against players, mainly online, I guess, and you'll be able to play and well, I don't know if I should say too much here, but yeah, trying to build up this star team that will make an impact in the rankings, and you'll have these rankings that will go on, and you'll try to top these rankings and try not to be relegated. But I mean, it's kind of a classic kind of stuff, like a little bit like the Master League or something like that in the PES world, you know, something like that. So yeah, I don't know what else I can say about it, but it's coming along quite well, and it's looking like a lot of people will be able to play with their favorite teams and unlock a lot of players that used to be in their clubs. So I mean, a lot of football fans, well, apart from, well, with our game, we've always had, or if you look at Sociable Soccer, we've always had this huge database with a lot of players, and we'll continue in that fashion, and we'll have a lot of classic players to unlock that you can put in your team and get maybe. I mean, if you put in a really good Alan Shearer in your team, you'll be able to score a lot of goals. Yeah, but with this player avatar mode, you'll be able to build up a good squad and play for a national team and this kind of thing. You'll have challenges along the way. You get the XP points, that kind of thing. You get challenges. You get it's in this kind of fashion you do it.
So that does sound good. And I don't know if it's because the email address I've got for John, I don't know if it's like a personal or a work or whatever, but I generally find that he must just one day decide to look through the emails, because I don't get any responses for literally weeks at a time. Then all of a sudden I'll get 3 or 4 replies to like different messages all at the same sort of time. You know?
Yeah. I mean, his mailbox is very full all the time, because he's occupied with a lot of different stuff at the same time. So I mean, he does, and we have sessions at the office, and he flies in to Helsinki, and they work like nights and days and everything when he's there to improve things, and I mean, he's very busy all the time. So yeah. Yeah,
I know. When we've had him on, he just says a lot.
Yeah, we use something at work called Slack. It's kind of a platform for communicating with people, and we use that, and that's the best platform that I've used in work for this kind of when you're not at the same location all the time. So it's great because you can write something and it's not in the. I mean, he just answers to that like a normal chat conversation. You know? Yeah, so it's good.
Yeah, I mean, we used to use Slack, and then it worked out that it was only me that had access to the actual website itself. So there was no difference. They just had to email me the files to upload.
Okay.
So I get bombarded with rubbish every day.
Yeah, but you know, like, this is good because there's 3 people. There's about, well, when we're at the office, all of us together, then of course we don't use it, but now I'm in Sweden, John is in England, 3 people is in Finland, another few people are in other places, so we have to be connected in a way, and Slack is working well for us. But now I'm taking care of most of the communications with all the all the media and stuff like that. I had that kind of communication, and so that's also why I was recruited a little bit, because they didn't want to have this kind of. They wanted to focus on the game and let me take the other stuff. Yeah. And I'm really fine with that. It's kind of great. Yeah.
So I mean, how difficult is handling the social side of things when you've also got like another sort of like job? Do you have to do your normal job, and then once you finish that, then you can start doing the social media, or do you have your phone with you to do, when you can?
I have some. My experience in the business is probably why I got this job, because I've been at Konami. I had this as a kind of almost like this was my full-time job in Konami. I did this for 100% then, and now I'm not doing it 100%, but I'm still putting down a lot of extra time into this, because I really like, when you like something, you do it almost more than just for, you do it more than for the money. But I mean, I'd say that I go to my normal job in Sweden, in Helsingborg, where I live, and I do my job there, and then I go home and I spend a few hours with this. That's how I do it, and the guys they knew my experience. They flew me to Finland, so I'm doing well with this.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're sort of saying, because I mean, me myself, if I was given an opportunity to, I mean, even if it was just to go to places, demo the game, tell people about the game, things like that, I would basically do it for free.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do it for free, actually.
Well, as long as I got the travel paid for.
Understand your point of view there, and understand a lot of fans would like to do this as their job, but at the same time, if you're not paid for what you do, then you can do it as good or as worse as you'd like.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be, I don't want to be in that position, and the people that are hiring me don't want me to be in that position. And I don't want to have, I don't want to be semi-professional in this work, actually. Because I did that the first years with Konami, and it didn't give me anything, right? Like in that kind of sense. And then I got the contract, and I had a contract with Konami for a few years, but it still took that time to build it up, And now I'm here with Sociable Soccer, and they invited me to come back into the business. And I said, yes, I want to come back into the business, and I got what I got because I had the experience from the other thing, and also I worked with football. So I mean, I understand that you'd like to do this for free, and a lot of people would like to do it for free. But I mean, also at the same time, like I said, people shouldn't be doing stuff for free all the time. It's kind of then you get also, if you do it for free, then you don't get into the sweet places. Like you don't get stuff that you might get if you were paid to do it. Also, it's kind of you're dealing with things that like how respected you are and stuff like that also. And in the gaming business, I mean. If you want to do something professional, you want to be respected also, and I want to be respected, and that's why I can't do it for free anymore. Yeah. I was just like a lot of other gamers. I did it for free, but at this point in my life, I don't want to do it for free anymore. Also, because I'm 35 years old. Okay, I can't do it for free. It takes up too much time.
Yeah, I get what you mean, because, I mean, I'm 35 as well. And, I mean, as I said before, I would love to do it, but I have a full-time job that I have to have, otherwise I can't pay the rent.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, so, I mean, it'd be one of these things where, for me to, because it would be my dream sort of thing to sort of carry on my website, or to do something similar, moving into the gaming sort of area. And even if I just cut down my hours at work to be part-time and then have a part-time contract with a studio or whatever, you know, to compensate. But all I was saying is that, well, I guess it was to actually be able to show people who are excited to see the game, tell them about it, and just to see them playing the game. You know, that it must be worth so much.
Yeah,
you know,
it's really worth. It's worth $1 million. I mean, it's a kind of a, you know, it's kind of a positive job. You know, it's kind of a, it gives you a lot, at least up until the game is released. I mean, after that, you don't really know how people react when they have paid money for it. But up until that point, everything is, you know. In Sweden, we have this expression called gold. It's all gold and green forest up until the release, you know. But I mean, after that comes the tough part. When you're dealing with people who are not happy with the game, you know, that kind of when that stuff shows up, you have to be able to handle that in a good way. And that's about what have you said before the game came out.
Yeah.
That's why we're keeping this quite low key up until we have something that we can present. You know, we're building this.
You don't want to promise features that is not going to be within the reach of the first release. Yeah.
That's why I'm talking a little bit like in general about the player avatar career mode, because I can't say exactly what is going to be there in the full version, because we're still a long way from release, you know. So I'm not saying too much. I'm saying the parts that we do have, and then I'm not saying what exactly will be in there, because it would be to promise too much. Okay.
Yeah. And one of the features that I have spoken to Jon about, and he's occasionally got back to me with maybe, yes, we'll speak more in the future. But basically it was the custom or joke sort of teams within the game.
Yeah.
We were sort of like talking about having like an official one-up gaming team.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know, to actually have within the game that actually ships for everyone. And he was quite positive, and then I don't know if, like I say, I don't know if it's busy or if it was just being nice. But we as a team, we would love to, you know, anything we could do to implement that feature, we would love that.
Yeah. Actually, well, when we were in Glasgow, we have about 16 custom teams in the game. And one of those teams are Combo Breaker, which is the company that has hired me, and so we have all of us in it. And also in Glasgow there was the person that won the tournament there gets to be in the game, and also some people from the survey will be in the game. We have a fan site from Germany, which we have talked to, that does this. It's called Sociable Soccer.de, and you can play the old game there.
Yeah, they do a lot of the tournaments, don't they? Like the old.
Yeah, they do a lot of tournaments in the old game, and we talked about them having a team in there, and of course, still it's something that. I can't say still that we'll put all these requests about having a team in there we can't say anything about it yet because we haven't started that process yet of including the fans to that extent. So when we got something, and it will probably be on me to announce this or to include people in that way. So let me get back to you when there's actually a mode for implementing that. Then I'll be really happy to announce it. To be able to be able to invite people to send in their own custom teams or something like that. I won't say for sure, but it's a possibility, and since we have talked about edit mode and stuff like that, it's probable that it will happen, that we will have a lot of custom teams in the game when it's released.
Because, like I say, I mean, as we've already spoken, I'm a massive, Sensible Software fan with Cannon Fodder, Megalomania as two of my all-time favourite games. And Sensible Soccer that I used to play religiously on the Mega Drive. And I also went to one of my mates' house who used to have the Amiga 1200, and he had Sensible World of Soccer, and we used to just play that for hours and hours at a time. So to get my little tiny site featured in that, it would be just a dream. It'd be so good.
And that's I also, I sat there in the 90s. I was sitting there and made my team in the team I was playing for. I made them in Sensible World of Soccer, and I played with them at home. Put the stars, gave them us ratings and everything, and played with teams against these other custom teams and everything. It was superb. And of course we'll do that. I want to do that for the fans. Fans want to be in the game. Why shouldn't they be? I mean, I'd love to be in there, and I'm already in there. But I mean, now we can. This is something that we can. I mean, this is something that is. It's not hard for us to do it. It's not hard. It's kind of a appreciation thing for all the fans that was there in the 90s and all the new fans that are coming that want to be be in a football game. It wouldn't be that hard to put in a lot of fans into a game. It's it's like a little bit of database with different statistics for players, and then you have the name, and it's a small thing. And then people could maybe we wouldn't be able to do all the faces and everything because that takes a lot of time, but that people could fix by themselves, and then probably share them with each other also, because we're gonna have we want to make an edit mode, which I can't say much about because we haven't started working on it yet. But I mean an edit mode where you can share your creations with other people, that kind of thing, like the other football games do. They have edit modes and sharing option files and stuff like that. I mean, we want to have the same kind of thing, basically. Yeah.
So, I will say we've been talking for about an hour.
Time passes quickly.
It does. Especially when, well, you say that, but there is sometimes when it's been 15 minutes and it's like, oh my god, hurry up. But sometimes especially when it's a subject I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And it is, I like asking questions because I think about 2-3 weeks ago, we interviewed a team who had just released a point-and-click adventure game.
Okay.
And I was talking to them, and they were like, oh, have you working on your next project? And they were like, oh yeah, it's a mobile project, but we can't talk about it. And after about 5 minutes of pressing, I actually managed to get the full name of the game, what you do in it, all the details, and, so it's it's a gift. I just talk to people until they get bored and then just say whatever they want. But just wondering, has that game updated?
What was?
Has the
updated
to have a?
Let's see here. What do we have there? I want to do that. So yeah, this is interesting to see because our developers they put in now when I got the game for the first time. There's a new update to the. Let's see here. You see that's the logos.
Yep.
From the and then see here. And
so
then there's going to be like
the virtual D-pad.
What?
Does it have a virtual D-pad?
No, it doesn't. We don't like that.
No, neither do I.
So no, not anything like that. So anyhow, you can't see very well here, but here you select your team, and then you go to. Well, I selected Leicester now. But the thing is with this game now, it plays, and yeah, there's a little bit. Wait, no, you can't see anything. Maybe
if you turn your brightness down on the screen, that should.
Oh yeah.
On the phone.
Okay, wait a second. I'll see here. Let me see. Let's see here. Is that better? No. Wait.
No, you want the main light on, and just the brightness of the screen, put it down to dim.
Okay, let's do that.
And then that should work. So I had to set up a massive undertaking of using a 60-inch TV behind us while we were doing interviews on our live sort of like webcast.
Okay.
And I had to work out how to get all the lighting worked out. That took a bit of time.
You got some experience in that field, and it works here too. So let's see here now. See if it's better. Is this better now? Yeah, it's much better. Much better. So that's actually a new screen we have there. This game is only half complete.
It does look like the referee though, with a work helmet on.
It is. And let's see here.
So is it still 50%?
I mean, basically what we have done is that we worked on modes in the game also, and it's about. I mean, when we met, it said 50%. I'd say that it's somewhere around 55-60% now, probably. So don't take that number that they put there in too much consideration. But now let's see here. There we have that view, and we'll see here. We have, But yeah. So basically, what you do is that you put your finger and then you drag the player like where he's supposed to run. But now playing like this is going to be really hard. But anyhow, got a little bit of Sociable Soccer from the Android version there.
So with that, I assume when you've actually got the ball, you actually like draw where you want him to go.
Yeah, you get into control with the player, and then you point. The player selection is automatic in the Android version, so it will take the player that is closest to the ball, or kind of if there's a ball player approaching another player, it will switch to that player. So you'll be controlling a good player to go in for the tackle, for example, or just to break with the ball. I mean, then you control with one finger, and then you shoot with another finger. So if you're holding like that, you'll make a shot with the other thumb.
I mean, did you guys ever think of implementing something similar to like PES on the Wii?
You mean the kind of
where you with the waggle, where you point and and move sort of thing on the screen.
Yeah,
it looked more tactical, sort of like you drew a line where you want the player to go to and a line where you want the pass to go, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't think the other guys at the office have been thinking about that, actually. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I know about that game, of course. I have my Wii back there. I played that version a lot because I tried it out. I played it with that one, but then I really enjoyed that game, and I bought the classic controllers for the Wii.
Yeah.
And that's just the best Pro Evolution Soccer game, like almost the best of the PES games that it was ever made. Like to play that on the Wii, and then you have good resolution on your TV and everything. It's like a superb game. But anyhow, let's go back to Sociable Soccer. With those controllers, it's. I mean, when we got this solution to be able to play it with the fingers on the screen, it just feels very, very good when you play it. It feels natural in the way that how we made the player switch, the player selection, how that came to feel correct, like that you're in control of the player that you want to be in control of. That's the main issue, or the main thing with the game, that you are in control of a player that is actually close to the ball, or when you're controlling the player with the ball, it's gonna feel quite easy to control him. That's the main point, we are now trying to implement the speed, burst of speed kind of thing too. But I can't say much about that because we're just in the process of evaluating the different kind of how we should do that. Because Sociable Soccer has 2 buttons now instead of the classic one for Sensible World of Soccer. I don't know. We spoke about that at the.
I think we've spoke over Twitter.
Yeah.
I think we were talking with the developer of Natural Soccer.
Yeah.
And we were all in agreement that the one-button control is maybe a little too limiting in 2016. Because we were talking about Dino Dini's sort of kick-off, saying that with the one button, it just doesn't feel. At the very least, you need a pass-shoot button and a tackle sort of button.
Okay.
You know, so you're not hit. The amount of penalties I give away because you try to clear the ball and your man just slides right through.
Yeah.
You know, so you physically need the 2 separate buttons. Oh, that's what I feel.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. But then again, Sociable Soccer will be this kind of. It's an arcade game, so you have to. I mean, if you lose the ball in the penalty and in the penalty box, and you're going to try to take it back, and since you're just using one button, it will create these kind of comedy situations, right? And that's what Sensible World of Soccer was known for. A little bit like that, you know. You tackled that guy, sometimes unintentional, and it created a fun moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all depends on how the controls are implemented at the core level of the game.
Yeah, you will have also from different from Sensible World of Soccer is that you'll actually have a player selection button in this one. You know, you'll have like, if we look at the PlayStation controller, you'll have L1 making you'll be able to select the player, so you won't be as prone to tackle down somebody in the penalty box as you used to be in Sensible World of Soccer, probably.
I mean, even with the one-button control that I played at the Glasgow sort of place, I didn't find myself sliding all over.
No.
You know, so like
Not like
the way that you guys have got the game working is fundamentally different to how Dino Dini designed his game.
Yeah, I saw some really well. Since I played Dino Dini's game, you made some horrible tackles that you didn't want to make. Okay. Now it will probably be that I don't know the game that well to be able to.
Just before we sort of go any further, we're not bad-mouthing Dino himself. He's a talented designer and game maker. We just think some of the decisions are fundamentally not the best for a football game.
I haven't played his game that much that I can actually say how things work out. That's the only thing I can say.
Yeah.
Because I downloaded this game to just have a match against one of my friends one night before we went out, and I just wanted to try it because it's one of the few football games that have come out this year, and I played a lot of PES. I wanted to try out something new with my friend before we went out. We just played two games, so I mean, there's probably a lot to learn in there. So yeah. That's about it. Yeah.
So, I will say, thank you for coming on. It's been a great chat. And, as I said before, I love talking to people who, one, are passionate, and two, something that I'm passionate about as well. Yeah,
it's great. It's always great to have, I like to be able to express, to talk a little bit longer, because usually when you're in these kind of events and stuff like that, it's very quick talk, with everybody. To be able to communicate with everybody at an event, a big event, you have to maybe have a little bit shorter answers, and just so that you can be with everybody at the same time. So this kind of podcast is great, just to expand on some stuff that you didn't get to do before,
Yeah, I mean, I will say at the Glasgow event, I played none of the arcade games. I maybe played 2 pinball games, because I've never really played pinball before, so I thought I'd give it a go. I had one go at the Sega Saturn version of Sega Rally, because there was like a time trial. And I haven't played it in about 10 years, and I was only 2 seconds off the best time, so I thought, if I have another go, I could maybe do... But no. So I left that, and I bought a Sega Saturn arcade stick, and I recorded 15-20 minutes of the cosplay sort of stuff. And...
I saw that video, actually.
And I did loads of other bits and bobs. And it was only Sociable Soccer that I actually played, I think, about 3 or 4 games on. So basically that was my entire day, just going and I played the HTC Vive, which I was very underwhelmed with.
Yeah, I also tried out the Vive also when I was there. It was just down the alley there.
Yeah, it was literally just you were down at the end, and it was just at the front sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I would say easily that the Sociable was the best game at that event, and I can only see good things with the game, because it is playing, as you said before, it is playing brilliantly, and I just wish that people will get behind it when it actually does come out.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a lot of these games now, not saying that it will happen to Sociable, but a lot of these games that don't have the big marketing push, they come out and literally a few weeks later, no one's playing them.
Yeah.
But
well,
hopefully
that's how we right now we are. I mean, we're making the latest build that we are making. We're presenting this to. I mean, we're talking with a lot of people about this, and the VR mode for us created some really good buzz in the market for us, because we're one of the first games to have a VR mode that works in a game which you actually complete, kind of that thing, and so that has given us a lot, and that's why back a few weeks ago there was so much about the VR mode in the news and everything. So I hope that hopefully we'll be able to announce some really good news between now and end of August, because it's we're going to Gamescom. We're going to, there's another event also in Holland, in Netherlands, the Sensi Days it's called. We're going to go there too. It's the World Cup kind of thing for a sensible World of Soccer players. And then after that we have, there will be other events coming up in the autumn. But I mean, right now it's going to be Gamescom, and we'll deliver some good news there. And that's what we're looking at, basically. Gamescom.
Yeah.
Gamescom. And that's the biggest thing in Europe. So, I mean, that's when everybody delivers their big news. And hopefully we'll be able to do that too.
So, I mean, talking about the VR, I guess it's PC certain. Have you also announced it's also for the PlayStation VR?
It will work with pretty much any VR out there. So we just we can't really say that it's gonna be available on the PlayStation right now, but it will more than probable be available on the PlayStation.
Fundamentally, it works, but you just have to get the
yeah
that
kind of thing.
And I don't know if this would be possible at all, but have you guys thought of using Google Cardboard with a Bluetooth controller with your mobile sort of devices?
No, we haven't. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure about what you're talking about, actually. But.
Yeah. Google Cardboard, you basically put your mobile phone into a viewfinder.
Okay.
And it splits the screen in half to do the virtual reality, and it uses the gyroscopes in the phone to do the up, down, left, right. So I was just thinking, if you were to get the game to run, split the screen in half to actually have the 3D effect, be able to put the phone within the viewfinder and use a Bluetooth controller, that'd work with the VR view with the Bluetooth controller on your mobile.
I don't see why that wouldn't work.
Because that would be quite cool.
Yeah, I don't see how that wouldn't be something that we could actually do. I would see that as a big possibility. I mean, that wouldn't. I think that our programmer would be it wouldn't be something that would be hard for them to fix at Office. So
yeah. I mean, it's just these little things that I thought I would mention because it's things that I would like to see implemented.
Yeah,
I think if you
the whole team will watch this interview.
Oh, that's good.
And then they will just there will be 100 messages coming up on my Slack. Why did you say that? Why did you say that? Why did you say that? And then I'll have to answer to that. And hopefully you'll still see me doing interviews later this year. Yeah.
Well, if it's any consolation, you've been great.
Okay.
So
great.
I will say thank you again for coming on. And if you just want to mention to people how they can contact the team, or on Twitter, Facebook, those kind of things that people can link to.
You can get in touch with us. There's actually, if you want to write the mail, you can write me at Gustav. Well, that's kind of hard to spell out, right? But anyhow, if you go, there's a sociablesoccer.com. There's Facebook / Sociable Soccer, and there's Twitter, Sociable_Soccer, and we are on Instagram with Sociable Soccer. So all these formats. So, and I'll be the one that I'll be answering everything. So if you contact me in one way, then we'll be in touch.
So again, thank you, Gustav. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks, David. It's been great to be on. Okay?
Not a problem.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. And we're here, it's One Up Gaming, it's me, David, and this week we've got a special guest, Mr. Jon Hare.
Hello.
Hi, John.
Hey.
We'll just gloss over the fact that we've just been chatting for over an hour. It's supposed to be just something quick and simple, but it's really interesting. I can chat with you for hours, which clearly we've just done, but...
Yeah.
So before we start, I would just like to say this week's episode is 201, and we're sponsored by Zencastr. I've completely blanked on the name. It's I don't know if you've ever heard of it, John. You probably haven't.
What's that?
It's something that podcasters can use to make their recordings sound crystal clear. Basically, it's like, imagine Skype.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hit the record button, it actually does a local recording of your microphone at your end, and then it also does a recording of my microphone at my end. And once you finish the call, it emails both recordings to your Dropbox or your Skype folder thing, I don't know. And so basically you get two perfect recordings, so you don't get any of the muffled of the Skype or any of the dropouts because it's all recorded locally. And then you just whack them into your editing software, put it together, and you've got a perfect sounding podcast.
Sounds good.
So basically it's $20 a month. You get unlimited guests, unlimited recordings, live editing soundboard, and with the code 1UP20 you can get 20% off with the Zencastr sort of software. There is a free service available, so if you're interested, just go to zencastr.com and give it a try. Which, I mean, we've been using Zencastr for over a year now. It's been amazing. So, I guess, John, it's time to check back in and talk about Sociable Soccer.
Yes, sir. We can do this.
So, I played the game briefly 2 or 3 times at the Play Expo in Glasgow last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the new Play Expo Glasgow's next month, so I guess it'd have been almost a year ago.
Yeah, I guess that's about right.
So what features have been added, or what features are you looking to add from the build that I would have sort of played a year ago?
Oh my god, it's hard to remember where we were a year ago. So, I mean, the main things that we've been doing in the last 6 to 9 months, I can remember. The main thing would be the network play is working, so you can play from one device to another device across the network. We've done it internationally from England to Sweden and Finland, and it works very fast. I mean, it's a very fast game, so getting that speed of transfer is extremely important for us. So we've kind of proved that works, which is great. It's working totally cross-platform now, so from PC to mobile to VR, which is, I guess, we're running the VR currently through the PC or the mobile, so it'll be iOS or Android. So currently there's not much of an iOS VR option, but Android is Gear VR, PC is HTC Vive or Oculus Rift. So there's an option if you want to use VR. I mean, having said that, there's only 2 or 3% of our customers, and the guys out there will be VR people, so it's by no means the main focus, but it's supported. But the point is that also we've got our accounts in place with PlayStation 4 and with Microsoft with the Xbox One, and also we're just speaking to Nintendo about Nintendo Switch version. So in the pipeline are all of these different versions. Then with Google Daydream, and the list goes on. There's a lot of platforms, and they'll all work, providing the platform holders allows to. You can play platform to platform across any of the platforms. So far, we've not found a combination that doesn't work. There might be one, but we've not found it yet. So on the gameplay side, the network side, that's very important. So whereas the kind of DIY leagues people might have been used to in something like Sensible Soccer, in Sociable Soccer, you'll be able to do that, set that kind of thing up on the internet. So you can play against your friends all over the world. Of course, you can play locally with competitions on your local machine as well. Beat your brother and gloat, the classic style, which is still, in my opinion, the very best way to play the game. But the options of controlling it with the joypad, controlling it with the touchscreen, playing it in VR, playing it networked up, playing it not networked up, playing it from any machine to any other machine. You can play the game with in the way that we do, just playing the action, or you can sit back and manage it, which again was an option in SWOS actually. So you could sit back and manage the game and select the team only and then watch. So for the mobile version, the manager mode, we're going to add a thing where you can basically let the AI play, but you can occasionally override them and do kicks and passes and stuff like that. This is because we're making the game to appeal internationally. It's important in Asia, for example, to have management only options, because a lot of Asian players are less, in China, for example, specifically, feel more confident, but they don't have to do complex, dexterous controls. So it's a very broad target, and we're at the moment working out the order we hit it in. We're very likely to go mobile and PC first at the moment. That seems to be the likely thing that comes out. So in terms of competitions and content, what do we got? So let's start with the friendlies, the easy stuff. So the game has got 1,000 teams, over 30,000 players, all researched, not licensed, so we may mangle the content slightly. We're not so sure exactly how far we have to do to mangle right now, but we're prepared. We have the game's in Unity, so it's all in 3D. The preferred camera angle for us to play is the overhead, classic old style camera, but there's many other cameras you can use to play if you wish. The VR camera is different because we sit you on the top of the stadium like you're the TV cameraman, and it works really, really well to give us an overhead three-dimensional view. So what else have we got? So we've got the straightforward friendlies. So we can play, me and you, Dave, can play a friendly either online, or we can play just on the same machine against each other. Or I can play against the computer. Or we can invite 2 or 3 other people we know and have a competition between us, be that a league or a cup or a small mini tournament we set up, however we want to configure it. This is very much similar to the kind of thing we were doing on Sensible Soccer and SWOS years ago. Then we have what we call the world game, which is the ability to play any of 67 real-world competitions, again not licensed, but the full leagues we cover. There's 5 divisions in England, 3 in Germany, 2 in Holland and France, Italy and Spain. And then we have Portugal, Russia, Turkey. We got 2 divisions in Scotland too. Portugal, Russia, Turkey, Greece. I may have left one of the European ones out. Belgium. And then we have Japan, Korea and China, USA, Australia, Mexico, Brazil and Argentina. And these are all full leagues with all the full stuff in there. And then you've got the leagues and cups for all of those countries. And then you've got like your equivalent to the Europa League, Champions League, World Cup, African Nations, Asian Club Championship. There's 13 of those tournaments. There's 67 in all. And so you can play through those. When you play through those, we've got another mode which is kind of the main game mode, if you like, which is called the online league. So you choose the team that you want to represent. So in your case, David, you're likely to choose Newcastle.
Yeah.
So you choose Newcastle, and basically you start the game off. All of our players are represented on player cards as well as being in the game. So you start the game off with we haven't decided the number exactly, but probably about 16 player cards, enough to have a bench of about 5 and 11 starters, or maybe 18. But they'll all be like kids with like 1 or 2 star players. Now, our players go from 1 to 500 stars, so they'll be very low quality players. And any team in the world will have the same starting 11, whether you're Barcelona or Barnet. You know, it's going to be the same. And then as you go through the games, so basically we add all the stars of your players up together. The stars are determined by their skills. So the players are evaluated in 7 skills, similar again to the 7 skills are used in SWOS. So this would be heading, passing, ball control, speed, tackling, shot power and finishing. And each player is graded in those out of 100. Maximum total points is 500. So you don't have these flat players who are brilliant at everything at the top. And as you go through the game and you start playing, you basically have a bunch of game money, and you choose how much game money you want to bet yourself on winning the next game. So you go, I don't know. Let's say, Dave, you think I've got 1,000 game coins. I'll put 100 down on winning the next game. So then you press play, and it will look for an online opponent for you who's in your league. So that all the players in the world are divided up into 10 leagues based on how good their side is. You know, with the poorer sides and the bottom and the good sides at the top. And then it will find you an opponent who could be anywhere. Let's say your opponent is Real Betis or Ajax or whoever it might be. You then play a game against them. And obviously you've got all the normal stuff you'd expect in a football match, with substitutions and changing tactics. And we've got 15 different formations currently in the game. And 3 different tactical kind of switches, like do you want them to play more attackingly or more conservatively? Do you want the back line to be high or back? And do you want to overload set pieces? And you layer up all these combinations to set your strategy. And then depending on the outcome of the game, you go back to your menu and you either double your money because you won, or keep your money because you're drawn, or lose the money you put down because you lost, pretty simply. And then you also start to accumulate and collect stars based on your performance, and the stars go on the back of a new player card. And at any time you can choose to collect that new player card, or you can choose to keep on playing to be multiplying up the quality. So you choose when to stop and cash in and take the player card, basically. but if you lose, you lose. So it's a game about building your side and making good decisions on when to stop and when to continue with a particular run on going for, building up the next mystery player. So it's there's 31,000 player cards in the game. There's a lot of player cards. So we once you've got that player card, he goes in the squad. Obviously, he's going to hopefully improve your squad. And then you can also cash in or swap. Eventually, you want to swap all these rubbish kid cards out of your squad. So we give you a bunch of target cards you can swap them for. So as a Newcastle fan, we'd have a few of the Newcastle squad in there as targets, maybe players you've played against from other teams, or ones you've done with the manager upgrading, which I'll explain to you as well. And so you could say swap 5 bad, not so good players for 1 half decent player to your squad, who will now become one of your better players. So by this way, you gradually build the quality of your squad up and up and up. And we put an emphasis on helping you to find the players you're likely to want. So in the very, very long term, everyone's going to end up with Messi and Ronaldo and Suarez in their team probably, but the route to that point is quite different. And all the time you're playing for and representing your team. So you'd be playing for Newcastle, representing Newcastle as a player in the league system. What else is there? If you certain rewards you get from time to time, you get star players from the past. So you might get Alan Shearer or Peter Beardsley popping up and offering to join the team for a few matches, and then going again. So they're like special weapons. So this allows you to we've got research on classic players for every single team in the game. So it's quite a nice thing that it connects it more strongly with the club. And then the other feature we've got is that you have a manager, and the manager is kind of the central character, really. So you more identify yourself as the manager, and the manager himself is graded from 1 to 500. And you'll start off on about grade 5. And what that means is, if you've got players up to grade 5, he's really good at managing them. But when you've got players above his grade, he can't really get the best out of them. So, sure, you can do everything you can to get Lionel Messi in after a week. But unless your manager is good enough to manage a very high-starred player, Messi won't be playing to his full potential under the weak manager. You need to upgrade the manager in line with him. And you upgrade the manager by going to visit all the World Game tournaments on, more in line with what was in Sensible Soccer again. So you go to visit these, and as you're playing those tournaments, as you get hit, depending on the team you choose, you're going to win different financial rewards for winning those tournaments. And not just winning the tournament, but say it will set you a target after 8 games. We need you to be in 12th position, for example, in the league. Or we want you to get to the quarterfinals of the cup. And when you achieve that target, then you get financial rewards and your manager upgrades. So if you win the Premier League with Chelsea, your reward is not as big as if you win the Premier League with Leicester in our game. As a manager, you're going to get more kudos and upgrades and actually more money from the game. So it gives you a very, very long-term game, which encourages you to play through the entire world in order to upgrade your manager fully. And with doing that, then you can, by collecting all the player cards, you can get the best possible player team to represent your team, which means you can then play with your player team you're collecting against your friends online in the DIY tournaments and stuff. And it also means that we can monitor who the best players are who are supporting certain clubs. So you've got a chance to represent Newcastle in a real esports tournament. That's kind of like the latter stage of this. So you can take your Newcastle team and play against a United fan or Barcelona fan or whatever, playing for their team. And then the very top stage would be to actually represent your country and play for England. So that's the kind of thing we're making.
Yeah, that sounds a lot more in depth than when you first sort of pitched the game.
It's just more. Actually, it's no more. It's just more thought out. So we've always had the idea that you.
I know you said you had the idea of doing like leagues, and yourself as a player can eventually go up to play for the national teams, and
yeah, that's what we've changed. We've changed that to be the central figure is now more the manager.
Yeah.
Or actually, you're kind of controlling the club, so actually the manager himself changes. He looks different after a while. Actually, it's more fun when you upgrade to get a different looking guy sometimes. But yeah, basically you are. What were you thinking about? What we were talking about with the game?
No, it, as you say, it is theoretically very similar to what was originally sort of said. It's just you've changed a little bit, and like you said, the manager's a lot more focused now.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of a centralised. I mean, I didn't know that you were going to do like a manager sort of mode where you could just set it to play itself.
Well, this was in SWAS.
Yeah, I used to play it that way in SWAS.
Yeah, so yeah, we've always intended to do that because from our perspective, it's actually not much work. I mean, you're just setting the AI versus the AI, really. So it's not too hard. You've already done the AI once, so it's not that difficult for us to achieve that.
Yeah, because I think that for me anyway, it could be quite fun to play it that way on the mobile, and then have like on the console have the proper full game, so like the full pad experience.
Yeah, I mean, something else that we want to do is to think about a co-op mode. We haven't done it yet, but so you can play actually co-op for some of the games.
So another idea which you've probably thought about, because I'm just a lonely person who doesn't know now, but maybe have a save system that saves up into the cloud, so you can play it on your mobile, save up to the cloud, and when you turn your PS4 or your Xbox on, it grabs the save file.
It may be possible. It depends on the hardware companies and whether they allow us to do that. So some of them don't like a player to have an account on one system, but actually make payment on another. So we may have some restrictions coming from the platform holders in terms of sharing your game account between devices. But if we can, we'll do it.
Because to me that'd be really good. Like you could play the game, sort of like grind a bit, improve stats on the bus, and then when you get home, you've got your full team there ready to go.
This is what we'd really like to do. Actually, if you want to get technical on the mobile, you can always use a remote controller anyway and do that from home and then get the signal going to your telly and treat it like a console anyway.
Yeah.
It's also possible. But, yeah, I mean, the only restrictions might come if it's about payment. So some of the companies, for example, if you've got an account and you've got an iOS version on an Apple phone, if you've got also an account on Steam, or you can get a Steam version, or you've got a PS4 version or whatever, in theory, because on the mobile versions it's going to be free to play. Yeah?
Right.
So then that means if you've got another free to play account somewhere, then the person is not spending through your Apple account, but through an Android account, for example, or whatever else it might be. So some of the free-to-play mentality companies, where the money comes in drips and drabs after time and not all in one lump, they want to know that money's coming through their financial thing and not another one. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's very likely that the mobile versions will be free to play, because all mobile games are now. So we have very little choice over that. That's just the way it is.
I mean, I think you could maybe get around that sort of like free to play if you happen to have a really big name or license that can go with that. But as you say, as a brand new IP, it would be very hard to say $9.99 to sell when even Pro Evo Soccer's PES has just come out on the mobile today, and that's free to play.
To be honest, that says it all. Unfortunately, there's no turning back now. We are in the mobile world. We're in this world. So the way it kind of works at the moment is mobile is more free to play focused. Console is more premium focused, and PC sits somewhere in the middle. And for us, it really depends on who we publish with. And actually, we're talking to some license holders about possibly attaching licenses to the game in some regions. There's one company we're talking to in a pretty isolated region in the world that is interested in a license with their particular football oriented teams and stuff, and that even in those cases with licenses they're still thinking free to play. So it's the way it's going to go. There's nothing we can do now. The world has moved us into free to play whether we like it or not. Unfortunately, mate, we're there, and that's the way where it is. And it's it's not the first time I've experienced it. When we had Sensible Software, we were forced to go from Amiga to PC and PlayStation, and we really didn't want to, but we had no choice. The industry moves, and we make games. We have to follow it. We can't leave ourselves sort of like back in the past, because you get left behind. And unfortunately, that's what happens.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, unfortunately, you do have to move with the times, but sometimes you don't like where it has moved to.
No, well, I could say that about so many things in life at the moment, but it's the way it is. And actually, having said that, I think actually what we're aiming to do with this game is to really show free-to-play games what they should be like. This has got a huge amount of content in it. It's not some little light game. This is a big game, and hopefully it will put the bar up a little bit higher for free-to-play game makers to understand what can be done. I guess the attitude we're taking, and it's not normally done in free-to-play gaming, is that free-to-play gaming, you normally get an idea, put it out, build on it. If it's successful, build a bit more around it. As a designer, I like to have a huge structure and get it in place and make it work. And this way we've been able to get the huge structure of kind of world football effectively. And then through the three mechanisms of the online leagues and the world game and the friendlies, we've got three ways of playing football all around the world. All around the world, literally, in terms of against your mates all around the world, but also all around the world in terms of the content. And it's just giving you a whole world of football that works in many different ways. And for the free-to-play guys, even in the free-to-play environment. Obviously, for the premium players, all of the free-to-play blocks, if you like, are not in there. There's certainly at this stage, anyway, in my mind, unless we work with a certain type of publishing partner, there's no interest if there's a premium title in taking more money as it goes on. Having said that, some of the game mechanics will require you to be online sometimes to be able to check certain things and to keep you waiting. There's some very good stuff that's come out of free to play games, and certainly in our game we hope we've got the balance right between the world game and the online league. See, the online league can only be played online, obviously, but the world game can be played offline as well. For free-to-play guys, it will require occasional going online to pick up your rewards and stuff. For premium players, we can be a little bit more forgiving with that, but at some point, it will need to hook back up online just to check everything's going well. And I think at this stage, we're likely, even for the premium players, to still give them these coin boosts every so many hours. And the thing when you're structuring a game, like so many discussions we've had, it comes to how can we stop people cheating? Unfortunately, you have to think about it, So you have to construct the game in a way that also takes you online to stop people cheating. It's a part of it these days. Sadly, a lot of people out there just want to cheat.
Yeah, I mean, from what I could gather, that was one of the big reasons why a lot of developers went over to the Xbox 360 with Xbox Live Arcade, because I said Microsoft built a closed sort of like portal, and it's very hard for people to sort of like cheat.
Yeah, I don't know what Microsoft have done, but I do know that it's kind of a reality. It's another reality like free-to-play gaming. You have to work around it, It's not any fun to have people cheating deliberately. This is, it's not fun. Our league system is deliberately very unpremeditated. So you're online, as long as your opponent is in the same league structure as you, and all our players are only divided into 10 piles, as long as one person in your pile is there, Newcastle playing against Newcastle, you've got a game. And this way, it stops. A lot of people construct football games and they make these big league tournaments, and then they find that there's dropout and no one's hanging around to play their next league match, and it takes the fun away. And it's not just about cheating; it's also about this lack of reliability that some people can have. So you have to construct it all in a certain way to minimise problems from lots of different areas. And we think we've come up with the right balance. Obviously, from our perspective, if it's balanced properly, it would be nice to have free-to-play players playing against premium players on different platforms as opponents. Whether that's possible or not, I don't know. Whether that's desirable or not, we don't know yet. But from my personal perspective, we're taking a lot of time to make a great game on many platforms. I want as many people as possible playing it on as many platforms as possible, and it would be great to have people all around the world playing it, device to device, one team to another, just joining people up from having the fun of a game because of their love of football. This is what I want. So
I mean, I just wanted to quickly sort of ask, do you actually play other people's football games?
Yeah, I do. Actually, what I've been playing most of all recently is not an action game. It's it's not even a management game. It's called Football Chairman Pro. And I think I've played about 110, 120 seasons. It might even be more. Let me check. It's my phone's dead now. It's a very each season is very fast, and I found it to be really good fun to play this game because I can whiz through a season in like half an hour. You literally it just tells you the result of matches. You can watch the text flying through a little bit like Football Manager style, but it's you don't even pick the team. You just choose when you change your manager and make a few other small decisions. So it's a game I played a lot. I played Football Superstars, which is more of a pool game, a mini clip game. I played New Star Soccer a lot, but I haven't played it for about 3 years on mobile. I played FIFA a bit to have a look at it. I need to look at Dream League Soccer. I played X2 Soccer, but that came out a few years ago. In terms of consoles, PC, yeah, I've played FIFA and Pro Evo down the years a lot. I've not played FIFA for about 2 years, I don't think, on a console. But the last time I played it was about 2 or 3 years ago.
It hasn't changed much.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, you know, and it's not necessarily their fault. You get stuck because some fans like it this way. You know, making a new football game is a real chance to do new stuff. So, you know, on the pitch, for example, we've been adding all the stuff that I like to see in there, but the improving the passing is so fast now. Since you played it last, passing is super fast. Ability to chip the ball, ability to, you know, do headers in different ways and these kind of things. The game just keeps on improving all the time. So, on the gameplay side, got to say. But once you put it out there the first time, people get used to it, and then they get unhappy when you change it. So you can make a change. Say FIFA could make a change, and a quarter of the players will go, "That's great. I'm really glad about the change," and half the players will go, "I liked it the way it was before." You get stuck, you know.
I mean, you were sort of like saying before with the Sociable Soccer that you like to build a full sort of experience, not just do something quick and get it out and then build on that. You like to actually have a full, solid sort of game to start with. How does it make you feel with... I mean, I don't know if you've played it or not, and I don't know how the game is now. I'm talking about last year when it came out, but the Dino Dini's Kickoff Revival, when that game sort of shipped, it only had 32 teams. You could score goals by not scoring a goal. If it went through the side net and it counted as a goal. If the goalkeeper caught it and went backwards into the goal, it didn't count as a goal. There was no yellow cards or red cards. Yeah, and there was other problems as well. But I mean, we got literally thousands of emails and tweets because we gave it quite a bad review because to me, the game wasn't finished.
And what did people say about your review?
They were basically saying that you need to re-review the game once the updates are done. And I said, no, we review the game when the game maker says the game's out and ready to buy.
Well, this is, you know, this is an important point. And do you know if it's, has Dino done any updates since, and has it improved now?
He has done updates, but I must admit I don't know exactly what was and wasn't sort of added to the updates.
I think there's several issues here. So, number one is when from my knowledge, Dino's not a massive football fan, which means
I've heard that as well.
It's harder for him to know what's missing, like instinctively, to know that, you know, like you're saying to me, "Oh my God, there's no yellow and red cards." You know, well, I can tell you in our game currently, because we've not done the referee yet, there's still no yellow and red cards because we've been doing other things, and that's something we can do. In fact, we're adding the like different tackling and ball control skills for the players now, which is from that calculation we work out whether you're going to get fouls or sent off or whatever. But you know, we've had the game running without yellow and red cards, our game now, but because I can know it's missing, I can make sure, not just me, other members of the team, we'll make sure that that doesn't get missed. But if you're not so familiar with how everything goes together, it's not obvious to you it's missing. So I understand how that could have been overlooked or maybe seen as a nice to have but not essential to hit his release date. I think from what I understand, he was under some pressure or some contract with Sony to get the game out by a certain time.
I believe that as well.
Which probably has driven him to make some of the decisions, i.e., you know, he did a lot of the work on his own. Again, we've got around about a 12-man team now working on this game. That's very different from one person. It's a lot of pressure on Dino. So I think he ended up with a certain amount of time in his hands and decided the certain features had to go, and maybe the yellow and red cards were one of those features just to get it out. I mean, the stuff about the ball going in the net. I mean, these are interesting things because these are all things that have been in our game. You know, the ball goes through the side netting. We have that at the moment, but it doesn't count as a goal. sometimes that happens because of the way that programming is working. And I'm noticing that because we're using Unity, that there's some weird problems the programmers are encountering sometimes due to the way that Unity structures things I'm talking about now. So maybe, I don't know if Dino developed in Unity, but maybe there's a chance that some of the stuff which would have been easy to do another way is not easy to do anymore. So what programmers tend to do, if they're on the flow of doing something interesting, is shelve the boring bit about making both sides of the net detect the ball and get on with the interesting bit of making one side detect it and making the goal look good when the ball goes in. And then that kind of thing can happen. So it's normal in the middle of development to have those situations. The problem with Dino's had is that the game's been put out without those things rectified. So it's not weird that it's in that situation. It's just strange to have put the game out before those normal mid-development problems were sorted. And it sounds like a time pressure issue to me. That's the reason. And from the perspective of making things big and good before they go out, yeah, I'm very much of the way that the fashion for putting out games which needed patching came from the culture of PC development in the late 90s, early 2000s, where it suddenly became acceptable to put out a half-finished game or broken game. It's not something that I like. I'm sure that some of the games that I've worked on in the past have had those things, but I like things to be perfect. So, but then I'm not a programmer, you know? So it's easy for me to go, that's not working, make it better. It takes me a few sentences to, a few minutes or seconds for that to come out of my mouth, you know? But yeah, the culture of putting something out that's good enough we can patch it later, I generally don't like it. I mean, in terms of making small games and making them bigger, I do understand the ethos of it, but that's come about due to horrendous budgeting and often development inexperience of people making mobile games, in my opinion. If I go back even as far as International 3D Tennis, they had a whole world of tennis in it. Megalomania was quite a big game at the time with the world in there. Sensible Soccer, the initial one had about 100 teams, I think. Maybe more, actually. I don't remember how many teams. 100 and something. SWAS obviously had 1,500 teams. Cannon Fodder was a big game. Fully mapped out and planned from start to finish. And, you know, I would have to go back to maybe Microprose Soccer was the last game I worked on, and that's 1988. That wasn't planned to be very big in the first place. That's just the way I approach things. Personally, as a designer, I like a big world and to build out from there. So if I've done stuff that's not like that, I've seen it just throwaway stuff, like the old budget games we made. But it's a different school of development. Well, actually, where I'm working in Helsinki, in Finland, a lot more people think in the way of making it small and building out. I think the problem with that is if you're like, we've wrapped a whole world of football into a game's economy right now. That's hard to do by building from the start and trying to nail it on out from the outside. It's much better to plan it from the beginning. Everyone has their own approach.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm not here to badmouth Dino or anyone like that. I just wanted your opinion on if you think that, as I say, when all the feedback we got from a lot of the people were basically, the game's not finished, you shouldn't review it, you should review it once all the updates are done. And our reply was, well, nowadays every single game gets updates. We can't just re-review games every 6 months.
Well, my view is that, you know, the decision was made for whatever reason to put it in a box and ship it at that time. And that's a finished game. That's how it works. Yeah. That is how this game works. And I think it's fair for people to say, if there's a definitive update, which is definitely worth you looking at, then maybe it's worth looking at that and reviewing that. But I don't really know. I can look at this in two ways. Obviously I'm very aware of Dino's been criticised for what he's done, and I've only seen videos. I've not played it myself to feel what it feels like.
I mean, I will say the passing and the movement feels really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the rest of it. It just doesn't. There's just that something not quite right.
Well, I think that there's several things. He's working as a one-man band most of the time on the game, and also he hadn't made a game in the commercial game space for quite a few years beforehand. And the games world is changing massively quickly at the moment, all the time. So there'd have been a bit of catch-up to play as well for him. And I think his ambition for the game was more to prove, again, this is me guessing, but I think he just wanted to prove that he can still do it and he can make Kickoff's a good game and it can still work now in a modern kind of way. Slightly different from our intention with Sociable Soccer, which is just to make a new kind of online sports franchise almost, which can go between many different sports. Our plan is to not just do football with this, but to other sports as well, hopefully. So our plan has been a lot more ambitious and been a lot slower. So, we haven't got the game out yet. We're the opposite end to Dino. He's put the game out and been criticised for being too fast and it wasn't quite ready. We haven't even got the game out yet, which is potentially may prove to be a mistake in our judgment as well. Who knows? It's too early to say. You can't tell. Hopefully we've got it right, and hopefully he'll correct all the bugs in his game, and people will stop criticising it so much. But we live in a really, really weird time to make computer games, Dave. It's not an easy or good time, so there's no easy strategy anymore to make it work, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I honestly think Twitter and Facebook and all that social media has really had a negative effect on a lot of things. So yes, you can get instant feedback, but the negatives to me far outweigh. Anyone with any opinion can say whatever they want.
Well, the problem at the moment is lack of filtration. There's actually now as much as 1,000 games a day coming out on iOS. Some days, it used to be 3 a day. I mean the the saturation of the market. So even finding space for the comment on your game for one day, you're fighting with 999 other things. It's crazy, and then the next day people forget about it. And we spent, by the time this game comes out, we'd have spent nearly 2 years on it so far, and that's a lot of time investment to get attention for a few days. And it's people just want new stuff. The people making money at the moment are the people who run the channels, the people who own these channels like Twitter, the people who manage the advertising and stuff on them. It's that's where the money's going, and you're right. It's been terrible for quality products to live amongst a sea of shit. It's the way it's been. It's the way it is. You can't. It's very, very expensive to market your way out of this. Very, very expensive. And it's caused the publishing companies a lot of problems because the marketing budgets are ferocious and the success is not guaranteed still. And as a result, they're paying us less and less money because it's become more of a risk for them, because it's just like a vicious circle, really. And as you say, the comments that people make, I mean, with politics, it's funny, but even with the games industry, in a way, it's better to hear from people who know what they're talking about, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess it's for you guys, if you know how to filter and get to the good, meaningful sort of comments, it'll speed up, your ideas and your, what you can add to the game.
I think from my point of view, I look at it like this, and it can't be seen as egotistical, but we made a load of hit games in the 90s and the 80s. We consulted with nobody making that, just amongst our team. No one complained about them that much. So I actually think that too much user feedback is positively negative for creative people, because, okay, if you've got a game and it's come out and it is broken, like genuinely broken, then yes, fair enough, comment. But most non-creative people or non-professionally creative people don't appreciate things which are anything other than what they already used to. So if you ask a non-naturally creative person to design a game, they're likely to come up with like Call of Duty but set in a zoo, for example, and that's really what's been happening actually for a lot of the last 20 years with games. It's exactly the kind of games we've been getting out the last 15. You've got the inappropriate people with tools in their hands to make new products. You've got a lot of copycat gaming, like a huge amount, and a lot of poor quality copycat gaming. And it's not just games. I mean, it's, as you know, it's everything. It's same as applies to journalism, same applies to photography, same applies to writing, music making, you name it. There's too many people doing everything, and in the background there's people making a lot of money out of this noise we're all creating. Every time you transfer a file from A to B, someone's making money from that, and that's kind of like the hidden cost that want to keep this volume of information transfer up. And these are the issues in my mind which aren't being tackled at all. Why has no one tried to tackle spam email? It would benefit all of us if spam email stopped existing. Someone obviously doesn't want to get rid of it. Again, it's just keeping the rubbish in our lives and giving us stuff to filter out, but it's keeping the volume of data exchange up. And someone's making money out of that. And it's not us. We lose money out of it and lose time because of it, but someone's making money. So I don't know. We live in a strange time. We know we do. I think all of us are feeling that it's different, because obviously people from a younger generation haven't lived through the different time to see the difference. But I think that most people, you might be on the very young end of it, but most people are seeing like a substantial change away from a time which felt easier. So the time feels difficult now, right?
Yes, it does.
And I think we all feel that, and we're all just trying to do our thing. I'm if I look at myself, I'm making games. I've always made games. It's what I do. I make games with people, and then I look to sell those games. Just been what I've done for my whole life. But somehow the experience feels different, and the way what I do is perceived differently, and really bizarre stuff kicking around. So I'll give you an example of something very, very bizarre. I found something the other day, which was a website which was trying to... I don't know how they got hold of me or even knew I existed, but the first thing was a question as to how much money people thought I was worth, and someone had made a guess. I don't know where they got the number from. It wasn't correct. It was quite funny. And the other one was trying to work out my sexuality, if I was straight or gay. To which there was one guess that I was gay, and no others. So I'm 100% gay on their website at the moment, which is quite amusing. But what a website! This is like basically anyone that can be seen as obviously Z-list celebrity. Anyone who might be known by anyone due to something they're tracking on whatever websites. Suddenly they're trying to spread just rumours and dirt about people. It's kind of like, who comes up with these ideas, you know? And how does it work? How does it work? And you know, they'd obviously picked up the information on my birth date and stuff from Wikipedia or something, and then just like make guesses about this person and share them with other people. So it's quite amusing to me that that's there about me, but I wonder who might be really affected by these things. You know, I've never noticed that kind of stuff before on the internet. It's just full of a lot of crap like that.
Yes it is. I mean, like, when you sort of searching for a web page, it's sort of like, it's like searches for like 13 million pages. It's like, well, it's got to have loads of crap in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I guess people must go to it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if they do. I think it works that what happens on the business end is that investors look for opportunities to invest money, and some people are like the startup culture, if you like. They're professionally just looking for new stuff all the time and new ideas, and then they kind of get something going to almost prove it's an idea people want. It's a bit like this thing about making the incomplete product and seeing if it floats idea that we were talking about a while ago on games.
Yeah.
In website form. It was obviously not totally finished and not the finished article, this thing I was looking at, and it's kind of irritating that things change all the time as well. Like, even I went on to Skype now to look at it, and I've not loaded Skype up for about 4 weeks or something, and that wanted to boot up some kind of update and notification and change, and these things just seem to be happening a lot more. And I don't know, that the feeling of being out of control, I think we're all feeling a lot more these days, and I don't think it makes us happy.
But then I used Skype less than a week ago, and I had to update it when I turned it on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're doing something important, or maybe they're trying to make sure that they're keeping up with the Facebook spying bits that hook into it. Who knows? Who knows how these things work? But I think that it would be nice if we can come to the end of this part of use of technology, if it's superseded by stuff which is more efficient and doesn't waste so much of our time.
But I still think it is funny that people pick and choose of what companies they will happily give stuff to and what companies they moan about. It's like, oh, I don't want to give Microsoft any of my details, but they'll happily give everything to like Google or Facebook or...
Yeah, they're all the same. I mean, Sony had a problem, didn't they, a while ago with accounts, and you know, who you don't know who these people are. You've got no idea if you're the kind of person who mistrusts people who you can trust. The answer is absolutely none of them, because you actually don't know what's going on. You've kind of got to trust them because it's out of your control. But it's the feeling that that thing that Theresa May and the government announced for their policy about social care in the home. You know, this thing recently, and that the money will be taken out of your home until your home's worth 100,000, then the state will pay for your care. Did you hear about that?
Yes.
Right. That is very interesting, because that particular policy is exactly what everyone's fearing, which is why it was such a negative reaction. It's like proof that everyone just, in the end, whatever you do, sucks all your money away to bring you back down to ground zero again. It's how we're feeling at the moment. I think everyone's feeling that whatever they've achieved or tried to achieve or done or built towards in the past, it all feels like it's not secure enough and very tenuous and probably going to be taken away, which is why you got such a fierce reaction to that very, very fast. Because, you know, people in the South For example, where the town I live in, well, I'm not living. It's a nice town, just outside of Cambridge. I think the average house price is maybe 250, 300,000. So when you say we'll take your house down to 100,000, that means you're going to have to spend 200 grand on social care.
It's quite a lot.
It's a huge amount, you know, and they didn't think that in other parts, like I mean, God, you live anywhere towards the centre of London, you're talking 500-600 grand a house to get anything. That's like 400,000 or 500,000 you could lose on social care. That's a fortune to lose, and it's the kind of the feeling we have at the moment. What I'm saying is underlyingly that everything we built for in the previous years and all the plans we thought were in place everything seems to be ripped up to go against us. That I'll give you an example. I mean, like making Sociable Soccer. In many ways, you're treated almost like a startup company. We're doing something new because it's a new IP no one's seen before. Okay, it's got some association through me as the same designer with Sensible Soccer. It's not out on the market. It hasn't proven itself yet. Every mobile publisher in the world will tell you now, we need to see the KPIs. What KPIs are proof that people want to play it and they like it. In other words, you've got to have it released and published and working before they're willing to invest in it. Now, in the old days, people would give you money a quarter of the way into development very easily. These days, it's quite hard. It's possible, but it's hard. And when they do make offers for you with money, often it's very, I've been offered advances that are in line with the stuff we were getting in 1989 recently. So many people have devalued the market that value's gone down. People aren't willing to take risks. You feel like you're being dragged backwards by the day. Of course, if the game comes out and hopefully does well, which we hope it does, it could be suddenly from nothing to being the next big Candy Crush thing or whatever it might be. Because people only see black and white now. Do you understand what I mean? They only see nothing or everything.
Yeah, it's, as you say, it's an all or nothing culture now.
It's a very bad way to fund and support the arts, because the arts need belief. They need established relationships between development, publishing, finance, or whatever the art might be. And it's always a network of people, like a whole bunch of people with different roles within a team. And it's again that idea of faith and loyalty and people believing in you and backing you and not giving you a chance as in the current way, which is giving everyone a chance, which is rubbish. It's like giving everyone a chance to design the next car for Ford. It's just like bonkers. You need to be really good to be given these chances to do stuff which end up in people's hands. And there seems to have been people who control finance and communications have understood by making everyone feel like they got a chance, like the whole world is like X Factor. You get a lot of engagement, of course you do. Now, I can be the next Master Chef, I can be the next professional footballer, professional musician, dancer, whatever it might be. Of course, if I was 12 or 16 or before I'd made it and been successful at making games, I'd have thought like that as well. I'd have loved that. The problem is there's such a deluge of that. And now when we go to conferences, games conferences, a lot of these people are mixing with the professionals. There's no real sense of seniority in the structures that administer our industry anymore. They've been flatlined by people like Apple, Google, and to a certain extent Steam now. There's no discrimination. No discrimination is very bad when you're good. It's good when you're low, but no discrimination is very bad when you're good at something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just one of those weird sort of situations where we're in now. It's just. I guess I miss the days of knowing I'd get home, put the Mega Drive cartridge in, and I know that game's there. Everything's done. The developer was paid well for it. Sega got their cut, and the system worked.
Yeah, and you had a guaranteed good game that you could play for a long time that would be robust and work from the start. And yeah, we're missing all that stuff. We're missing... There is so much noise at the moment. There's so much distraction. And really, really crazy stuff going on. Like, I think... I can't remember. I made a comment on it today on Facebook. I do use Facebook sometimes. I think Trump called those bombers in Manchester a bunch of losers or something. I think he used the term bunch of losers. He also called someone else a nut job recently. And how have we got to the stage where this common man language has got down to the President of the United States, calculatedly, in my opinion, talking in this way to have mass appeal?
Yeah.
It's just so far from how I was brought up to think what is normal and what is desirable, and I think we're all thinking a bit like that. Like, how far is this going to go? And at the same time, through all this facade of everyone smiling and that, you know, people are just sucking our money and power away. It's obvious the game that's happening underneath. And you know, you've got a Brexit thing going on at the moment, and half the country kind of wanted it because it felt something needed to be done to make a change, I think, mostly. Yeah, there are a minority of racists, but I don't think that was the actual motivation for that. I think it's more of, let's change something. And then you got a lot of people reluctant to let go of the current structure because they don't want change, but at the same time, often not that happy with the current structure either. So I think people feel like, you know, like we've got a general election coming up when I can't see anyone worth voting for, quite frankly. I don't see a proper solution. I really don't. I mean, we've got an interesting Labour candidate in Corbyn, which is good. At least he's more like how Labour maybe arguably should be. But there's as many pluses and minuses for him, and similar for Theresa May and all of them. Personally, my confidence in the whole system is gone. And then we got the stupid free to play, free first past the post system anyway to bet in, which is one of the worst. If you were designing a system, I'm a game designer, no one would ever design first past the post as a way to do an election in a million years now. It's rubbish. It's so bad. So the whole system itself is a joke to start with, let alone the people you can vote for. So, and I don't think I'm the only person who thinks like this. It's just deeply broken at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know if you agree or not, but for me, I believe that one of the problems is the fact that 20, 30 years ago, Britain still owned a lot of land and countries and whatnot. But over the last sort of like 30 years, we've given a lot back. And I think now we're struggling because we're finding out that we're not the superpower that we were. We're just a tiny little island that nobody likes.
Well, the phrase nobody likes to me is the interesting bit, because I think that there's two issues here. Firstly, yes, we did give these islands away. Now, one argument can say, well, of course we should give them away. They're not ours. But the second one is you give stuff away if you never ever plan to have it again. If you never ever want that kind of thing again. So it's weird in past times to have given away power, if you like that. And I wonder, in the long play out stuff, maybe in 100 years' time or 150 years' time, whether it would be seen that was a good thing or a bad thing to give that stuff away. In other words, where's it going to end up then? By us not controlling it, who would be controlling it instead? So there's big questions to be asked there. The other thing is about us not being liked. I've heard very few people talk about this, but I tend to agree with you. And I think it even cuts in a lot with the European stuff. That I noticed that a lot of... I'm going to be unpopular from saying this, but I have to say it. So, a lot of people, particularly from different parts of Europe, after the Brexit vote, were really upset and offended by it, you know, and felt that they were not wanted in the UK, particularly around London, that kind of area, and it was very quick. Oh, you just want your empire back. Stuff like that coming out quickly from people. Is that what you want? And I think maybe what people forgot is, first, we just want to feel control of our own country back, let alone control of other countries. So I feel that there is, outside of the UK, a vision of us as being a small country which has been punching above its weight for hundreds of years too long, and pretty much a resentment in a lot of cases for the empire we had, and kind of some kind of gloating at us being put back in our place. This is what I felt after Brexit stuff, and I guess it was because a lot of people were feeling that they were being judged or not wanted, and maybe not understanding the process that's been going on in the UK for the last 50 years, years before they arrived. It's not, of course, it's not people's fault they've come from other countries and they're living here and often doing really good jobs and being great citizens. The problem is that they've not been that aware of what they've displaced by being there. You know, if you look around London, everyone's moved out because they couldn't afford it or don't want to be there, to smaller places outside. Everybody, almost everybody that I know, if I look at my family and people I know, almost everybody. So of course people feel displaced, and when people talk about London as they know it, and I like the way it is, I think I was born in London. I don't live there anymore, but I feel like it's kind of, again, it's this loyalty thing. It's that, why does someone new have more right and more voice than someone who's established and older? It's all over our culture right now, and that's what I think has been a lot of the slight angst. It's not about racism. It's not about resenting people because they're from different cultures. Even some of the religious stuff, yes, but apart from that, no. I think we're pretty tolerant on all that kind of stuff. I think that we've made massive improvements in racism in my lifetime in this country, colossal improvements. I think it's about economics, and I think that it's not spoken about enough. It's about economics. That, I don't know. I worked in Poland for 5 years. The average person in Poland earns about 6-7 grand a year. Did you know that?
No.
I heard on the telly today, actually, that in China the average wage is about £2,000 a year. So this is why we are not so employable. We're expensive, and this is why any decent Polish worker who hasn't got a good job at home, you know, hasn't got the ideal role they want or in the ideal place, might think, well, if I go to the UK, I can earn 3 times more than I'm earning now at home and still undercut the British guys who do the same job. And you can't blame them for doing it, because all of us would go, well, we can triple our wage to work, right?
Yeah.
But we can blame our government for not seeing the bigger point here. That, of course, it's good to have there's nothing wrong with having all sorts of mixtures of people coming in, and it's good if they're decent people. Great, there's a lot of positives from it, but you can't just allow people to constantly undercut the current workforce. And when I was working in Poland, the Polish people were worried about being undercut by people in Ukraine. But I also worked in Ukraine, and the Ukrainians were worried about being undercut by people working in China. And that's what's really happening at the moment, is that we are very expensive, and we're kind of being moved out, and we have nowhere to go to. So when people come to the UK to better their lives and, often do great jobs and whatever, fit in really well, their life is on the up, and they're not stopping to think that a lot of our lives are on the down, and that's really the problem. If you took out from voting and opinion polls people who have only arrived in the UK in the last 20 years and only allowed people with opinions to be the people from before then, you'd have a very, very negative picture. Because I think the most positive people are the newcomers right now. Most of the rest of us are seeing it going backwards. The other thing is young people, obviously, because they're too young to remember, or they wouldn't have been there. But
for me, the scary thing is back in sort of like 98, 2000, that sort of time, I was earning over £1,000 a month. Like, bear in mind, I'm up in the north, so I don't get a lot more. But now, I'm only on £900 a month. It's like 20 years ago, I was on more than what I am now.
In Sensible Software, in 95, our most junior guy, he was like a tester effectively. He was 18. It'd been 96, 21 years ago. And he was earning 16 grand a year with us. And that's like over 20 years ago, as the most junior person in an office. This is what I can't get over at the moment. Wages are going backwards.
Yeah.
They're going backwards from 20 years ago. And that's what I'm saying. When I look at the advanced monies companies try and fob us off with at the moment, but not just with Sociable Soccer, with Word Explorer before it, I've turned so many deals down because I'm like, you're joking. Why would we say yes to that? What kind of commitment have you got to our game when you're only offering us money that would have been offered in the 80s or the 90s? It's something is really badly wrong. But if you, as I said, how much did you say you were earning? About 900 a month.
Yeah, about 900 a month.
So that's about what? About 11 grand a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's almost doubling the wages of a Polish guy, an average earning slightly lower than average earning Polish guy doing the same job. He could double his money by doing that. Of course, he's got to move, live in a more expensive place, and blah blah blah. But even so, that's what's happening. And as I say, I've got loads of Polish friends here and abroad. You can't blame them for doing it, but the government's just not thought it through. That doesn't work. So I see it as a big. If you look at what you talked about, letting go of land, fair enough. We'll let go of land. We don't think we need an empire. Great, whatever. Then we've got having loads of other people coming into the country and working cheaper and undercutting our citizens. Then we've got not prioritising at all people who've paid tax here. Then we've got foreign companies coming in and taking out British companies and then employing workers who are also not British on really poor wages and then not paying tax anyway. And the whole thing adds up to just what the hell is going on in this country? Why? It's like, why? Why, when you're in power, just lose so much so fast? I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't get why you would privatise your services and sell them to companies, any company, let alone a company who's not in the UK. Why would you do that? Why would you sell water companies to private companies or health services or railways or I actually don't understand the logic in it. It's, quite frankly, it's crazy. It's like they're deliberately breaking everything. I really don't get it, you know?
Well, it's like they say, the rich get richer and everyone else just stays the same.
It's weird because, you know, I've made a lot of money from games at different times, and there's different ways of making money that make you inside or outside. I'd also say, even from what I've seen, that ultimately the school you went to, the class you come from, does count right the way through your life. And that's something which I've only really been aware of in the last 10 or 15 years, but I really do think it's true. And, you know, there's different types of money is what I'm saying. Different types of organisations, different types of power. And what we're seeing now is that when the going gets rough, the people who have always held the power and come from the right places are the ones who hold on to it more until the end. So I definitely believe that we're seeing that right now. That everyone is relatively worse off, don't get me wrong, but the people outside of certain classes are suffering it more, is what I'm saying. Even, I don't know if I've had this discussion with you before, but I reckon if you did since they've like been pushing hard on sexual equality and racial equality and more women in board jobs and more people from racial minorities or whatever, that's basically means there's less white men, right, in these positions. But I don't know if anyone's done a survey on the sorts of white men which have given way. Because I would guess that the majority of white men that are given away from these power positions are the people that didn't come from the kind of like public school sector, for want of a better expression, in the first place. In other words, the first out the door were the non-public school white men. And I would imagine they've been replaced by men from different races and women who actually did go to these public schools. Meaning actually I would guess the quota of people who went to the fancy schools has actually gone up in the boardroom by getting rid of the white men who didn't go to them. This is a total guess, but this is the feeling I have of what's actually happening at play underneath the surface right now.
Which, it would make sense. It's always what you know and who you know.
Yep. It's really what I feel. I really kind of, I notice it because sometimes I move in circles that touch this kind of thing, and I'm aware of it at certain times, and I found it very irritating for many years. Actually, I'm trying to not care about it now, and you know, what can you do, you know? But it is out there at the moment. It's definitely underlyingly there's stuff. There's levels of different stuff that different people don't know, and I think that only a select number of people, probably very, very high up, really have any clue actually what's going on at all. Because it seems that the picture we're painted on the television and on our social media and stuff is far from what appears to be really going on, or actually really what matters. You know, what really matters is, how comes all the banks went bankrupt less than 10 years ago and now they're still there? How come? Why don't we just keep on going back to that one till we get an answer to that one? You know, we're all poorer, earning less money. They blew loads of money and they're just standing there. You know, isn't that the number one question that should be on the news everywhere until we resolve this problem?
I mean, like, look at Barclays. When there was all that financial stuff like 10 years ago, whenever it was, they actually, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago now, they were fined so many £1 billion because they lied to the public that, do you know when, I think it was Northern Rock when they went under?
Yeah.
Barclays, technically speaking, they said that they had days left to run, but they faked their finances to say that they looked really good. So all the Northern Rock people went over to Barclays Bank.
Ah.
And that saved Barclays Bank. But they basically lied to everyone to sort of say that they were financially sound.
Jesus.
You know, and of course it was like, oh, we'll wait until they get loads of money and then we'll fine them. You know, but I think something like that's despicable.
Well, yeah. So I mean, that's you're right, and that's kind of that's the deeper, more unsatisfying part of what's going on. So if I've got to go in a sec, by the way. I'm flying out tomorrow morning. I've got stuff to do. So maybe you should ask me other questions that are pertinent to what you want to broadcast.
Yeah, so before we started recording, I showed John some of the tattoos that I've been getting for my sleeve. Mm-hmm. They're all retro related, like they're all from like 95 sort of era, like Sega Saturn, Virtua Fighter, Ridge Racer, all those sort of things. And I did say I have kept a special little place where I will be putting a Sensible Soccer character, and then I'll get the whole thing shaded in. So I think that should look quite cool.
Very good idea. Who's it going to be? Which player is he going to be in your head?
In my head, because of the bright colours of the logos I've already got, I think I'll ask him to do like a really bright blonde hairing of Alan Shearer.
Okay. You're going to put a number 9 above his head?
Oh, I never thought of that. That's an idea. But I mean, I never said this to you when we were talking before. I wanted to have your live reaction.
Go on.
I've given the tattooist 4 or 5 Sensible Software games to look at the artwork and things. And on my, I don't know, top of my arm, below my shoulder, whatever the hell that's called, my bicep, whatever. Yeah. On there, I'm gonna get a mural of sensible like characters, like something from Cannon Fodder, something from Megalomania, Sensi Soccer, and maybe some other older ones, sort of all put on the top. And then I'm gonna get one of your signatures that you sent over for the game covers. I'll get them to scan that, and it'll have your signature over the top of it.
Well, that's very flattering, Dad. That might be the most flattering thing I've ever heard. So I think it's great. I would like to see this like mural collage of a lot of the characters that I've designed. You know, it'd be great as an artist.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. Yeah, good stuff.
Well, I mean, if you would like to help in any way by sending over like 4 or 5 of your favourite sort of designs of characters, and then I can give them to because I'm going to get this finished at the bottom, which it's very expensive and it takes ages to heal. And then, so it'd be like 2-3 months time when I start on the Sensible Software sort of like montage thing.
I guess, well, a Sensi Soccer man, obviously, Cannon Fodder man. There's a number of Megalomania ones to choose from, because you've got the little men and you've got the bigger characters, the gods.
Yeah.
And then you've got, who else is a character? WizKid is a character from WizKid. Little Sensible Golf Man, Whizball, Parallax Ship. Shoot 'em up construction kit, I'm not sure about. Insects in space. Flying woman with boobs and wings.
I think I'll keep away from boobs and
Galaxy birds. I can send you a. Remind me, like in a couple of weeks. I'll send you a couple of images. When did you want to get it started?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna sort of like get this bottom bit finished, which will be. I've just had this done last 4 days ago. The other logos, So it'll be another month until I get the shading done and the Sensible Soccer guy put on. So then it'll be the month after. So it'll be like basically 2 months' time when I'll start on the top.
Okay, yeah, I'll rummage around and see what I can find. Just remind me by email. We'll get it sorted.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. It'd be great to have some, like, if you have any like original artwork that I can get the woman to sort of scan through and have some like original artwork sort of thing.
Let me see what I can come up with. Just like I say, remind me and I'll have a look. Yeah, I'll rummage around for you. I can scan some stuff in, like stuff on paper, maybe.
Yeah. So I think on that's been a much longer show than I thought we were going to do.
Yeah.
But as always, it's been a massive pleasure, John.
Yeah, absolutely, for me too.
I guess we might as well talk about the game. If you just want to send people to where they can find more information about Sociable Soccer.
So, yeah, with Sociable Soccer, the best place to look is on our Facebook page at the moment, which is just to type Sociable Soccer into Facebook. That's where you'll get the most updated information. We're going through a big overhaul of our menus at the moment. I would anticipate that you'll get much more stuff towards the end of June, middle of July than now, because we're in the bonnet's up on our car, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, look out for what we're going to be doing towards the beginning of the football season, and you'll start hearing about us talking about what we're doing before then. And all I can say is our aim is to bring it out sometime this year. So a bit like what we've been talking about, we can't guarantee it's going to be finished for the beginning of the football season, but it will be out before Christmas, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean,
so between then and then is the aim.
Because it's like Football Manager comes out in November, and that doesn't hurt its sales.
No, I mean, so Pro Evo and FIFA both come out in September.
Yeah.
So it's pointless releasing a game in December because it's Christmas deluge. So yeah, you've got bits of October and early November, which are also release holes. But for us, it's about a matter of deciding definitely who we publish with. We're talking to a number of potential publishing partners at the moment, so making a decision on that, and then we'll be better at knowing exactly when we're coming out. But I think that when it comes out, people will be pleasantly surprised. No one who's played the game has said they haven't liked it so far out of, hundreds and hundreds of people. So I'm pretty positive it's going to be good.
Yeah, and as I say, from my experience, it was the best game I played at the Play Expo Glasgow last year, and it was a very rough early build of the game.
Thank you very much, David.
I guess I'll let you get off to Pixel Heaven 2017.
Yeah, well, I've got to finish my VAT return, and it's nearly midnight now, and I'm flying. I've got to leave here at 9:30 in the morning, so I'm going to have about 3 hours sleep as usual. And then I've got to pack all my music stuff because I'm doing a gig there as well, and a talk, and we're doing the show. So I've got a whole bunch of equipment, really a lot to take with me.
That's one thing I'd noticed with you, John. When I was on night shift, I could actually email you just about all hours of the morning. You'd still sort of like reply.
Yeah, the worst time to get me is going to be probably between about 9 in the morning to midday. No, probably from about 7 in the morning to about 11. They're hours when I'm normally asleep, or to 10. But yeah, I work really late. I have to. I creatively direct the Sociable Soccer, and I also do the business side, and I do other bits and bobs connected with our studios and doing some gigs and travelling around everywhere. I have to be very organised and hunt for cheap plane tickets like I did just now as well.
Which to me they didn't sound very cheap.
250 quid. It was better than the 450 quid one, and that's the way I view it. So I have to view it, unfortunately.
I guess I'm so used to hearing about the trips to Spain, like 20 quid or whatever.
The thing is, when I go out to Helsinki every second week, and I book so many tickets in advance. So this one is for like 3 trips in advance, but I need to book 4 trips in advance to get the best value. That's the truth. Yep.
Crazy, the world we live in.
Crazy. Actually, I'm lying. No, I'm lying. This one is 2 trips in advance, and that's why I left it too late. So I need to book the 3 trips in advance one immediately to get it for about 180 quid instead of 250. That's the game. Chase the flights. It's all the same thing, just cheaper.
Well, I would like to thank you so much again for coming on, and
Pleasure.
Hopefully we'll hear more about Sociable coming up soon. And as I said before, I thought the minute-to-minute gameplay was nigh on perfect. I just hope all the added extras, the thing that I found out about where you could actually just like do the manager thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounds perfect. So hopefully that'll be great. So you say that it'll be probably PC first and then followed by the consoles.
I think it will be mobile and PC first. It's probably mobile will probably be the first because of like soft launching and stuff like that. So what we tend to do with mobile is soft launch it in a territory. It's unlikely to be the UK, but in a country to just check it out and make sure it's working properly and then launch it globally. And we will probably look at doing some kind of Steam version sometime at the end of this year, which will probably start with an early access. But until we know definitely our publishing partner, we're not 100% certain how that's going to work. I know it's vague, but it's the truth. We're not sure at the moment.
No, it's totally understandable. So, Again, thank you, John. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Okay, Dave.
And we will just have a quick break, and I'll be back with the goodbyes. So, thank you, John. Goodbye.
See you later.
See ya.
Hi, my name is Justin. I'm the developer of Per Rocket, an iOS space game with cats. And I listen to the One Up Gaming podcast. You can find a link to download my game at facebook.com/perrocket.
And that was episode 202. So thank you to John for coming on there. Now, just going to quickly run through some housekeeping. Basically, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just reading stuff. Go to our website, oneupgaming.co.uk, read some reviews, leave some feedback, comments, that kind of thing. Go to patreon.com/OUG if you'd like to give us a little bit of money just to help us along. We've got official merchandise like t-shirts and mugs at bluecyborg.com. Just search at One Up Gaming. We have a music CD out called Games Inspired Music. 20% of each sale will go to the Child's Play charity. And just as a note, we do have Jon Hare's goal-scoring superstar hero on the album. So thank you again to John for that. We have an audio, sort of like, basically all of our podcasts from episode 1 to 100 on a USB stick shaped as a cassette tape, and it's got like a cassette case so it looks like an old-fashioned cassette, and that's from a company called audiobooksontape.com. And we've also got a Sans Pants radio interview. The tape's £9 and £1 of it will go to Diabetes UK. We've got Facebook, just search One Up Gaming. We're on YouTube, again just search One Up Gaming, you should find us. We're on twitch.tv, just go to OUG Official. We are on Twitter, so if anyone wants to leave us any messages or comments, it is just OUG Official. If you want to email us any questions, just email contact@oneupgaming.co.uk. And lastly, the podcast itself can be downloaded from a number of sources. Please just search One Up Gaming, subscribe, leave 5 stars of positive feedback. It'll really help with people searching for the podcast. So that is episode 201 in the bag. So thank you again to Jon. It was an absolute pleasure. We booked half an hour to speak with him. Well, I said 20 minutes to sort of speak. And I was on the Skype call with him for about 3 hours. Sorry, Jon. Get your taxes sort of like done, and hopefully you get your flight booked for your trip to the Pixel Heaven 2017 gig that you're doing flying out tomorrow. So, thank you all. Goodbye.
Hey guys, Justin here. I just wanted to say that I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you a lot. Yes, you in particular, in that way. And I wanted to say, I think you're great. I've always said that about you. And I was wondering, if you think we're great, if you could give us a quick rating on iTunes, we'd really appreciate it. It would really, really help us out in that, podcasty sort of way. And if you're feeling particularly festive, perhaps even a little saucy, maybe stop by our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/OUG and see if you can't slip a few bucks our way. After all, every little penny or whatever space money they use in Europe helps out the show. Thanks for listening. OUG Gaming will always be free, but with your support, we can always move forward and always be better.